Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes or be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing dire of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the world's forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. We'll never hide.
Good evening and welcome back to St. Pete by Night. My name is Kent, also known as Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Petersburg by Night. St. Pete by Night is a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. It features Vampire the Masquerade, it features Hunter the Reckoning, and it features Werewolf the Apocalypse, which is what we're here to see tonight because it is Tuesday night. And you know what that means. It means Rage Across Tampa, our 5th edition Werewolf the Apocalypse chronicle set in the city of Tampa, Florida, just across the bay from St. Petersburg. And it features our pack of Guru who have been trying for the past year to set up and return the nation, the Guru Nation, to the city of Tampa and to the state of Florida, which has long since been abandoned by the Guru Nation for the past decade. And now they seek to reclaim the area from the kindred who have called it home for centuries now. They fight for Gaia, they fight to reclaim the area, but it is a long and difficult fight. And as we found out last week, it's not a fight that they're always guaranteed to win. Because last week, they tried unsuccessfully to negotiate with the spirits of storm to try and return to their duties, to assist Eliza in returning to the responsibilities of negotiating with Storm, to return to the responsibilities of enacting the rites of the hurricane season. However, penance had to be paid because Eliza had abandoned those rights for the past decade, a responsibility that she had been responsible for decades before that as the right master of the area. She had to tend to the hurricane season. She was responsible for the spirits of storm, appeasing them, entreating with them. But after she fell to Hirano, after the local sept was destroyed, she no longer took care of those responsibilities. And in abandoning them, she abandoned the spirits This caused the spirits to feel betrayed, to grow angry, to grow violent, and as we saw with Hurricane Helene, to grow quite vicious. In an attempt to resume those responsibilities, she tried to pay contrition, and the pack was given the responsibility of embodying the various spirits of storm and punishing her, making her pay that contrition. But it seems it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to truly appease the spirits. And on the heels of Hurricane Helene comes Milton. Milton expected to be one of the most perilous, vicious, and historic storms ever to hit the Gulf Coast of Florida. Expected to be one of the most destructive. And as we know, as we living in the future see, one of the most dangerous storms the Gulf Coast would ever see. But we're in the future, and our pack of Guru is in the past. But that pack is embodied themselves by some of the most talented players I have ever had the privilege of being able to play with in my 30 plus years of running TTRPGs. So let's get the honor of introducing those amazing players now. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves if you please.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. I'm Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Rune of the Gale Stalkers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champagne, Freddy Krueger, because I'm running through your dreams. Also, I slay. I will be playing Aspen Wise, Philodox of the Silver Fangs.
Hey everybody, I'm Nori. I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
I have to get back to my rating system for your introductions, champ. So I'm going to give that rating a Halloween appropriate boo. But I mean it in the ghostly fashion, not in the dissuading or discouraging fashion. But let's get into tonight's game. It's been about a week since Helene struck the Gulf Coast, moving its way northward, narrowly missing, catching the Tampa area in the bands, striking the beaches pretty hard with intense flooding, strong winds, causing the beaches to sustain a majority of the damage, as well as some of the Tampa area to be hit by a great amount of flooding. Even some of Lettuce Lake suffered a good amount of the flooding, causing the pack to take refuge for most of the time at Greer's, the storage unit complex where you have been taking refuge for a majority of the time, holding up in the storage units as well as the RVs, which had to be moved to the complex to avoid the flooding. Over that week, you haven't really heard hide nor hair of Charles, and you haven't seen Leon during that week. He hasn't been returned, nor has Charles brought him back. However, any attempts to reach out to Charles have been responded to. It's not like he's gone missing or hasn't responded to communiques, and any inquiries about the status of Leon have been responded to with, he is still alive, as requested. So with that being said, our story tonight begins with Aiden, Aspen, and Artie. Now, Artie has been diligently tracking the storm that is coming, known as Milton. Eliza came to you all in a panic a few days after Helene, saying that whatever you had done, whatever penance she thought she had paid, it wasn't enough. Based off of the destruction that was wrought up the coast and even further inward, reaching all the way up to the Carolinas, wrought by Helene, going inland to a distance of historic reaches, causing damage reaching up into the billions of dollars in areas that have never even experienced hurricane flooding to this degree. Eliza believes that the storms have only begun their destruction, and as Artie sits at his computer tracking the storms, he watches the radar as Hurricane Milton forms out in the Gulf. As it has started to curl near Mexico, he relays to you that it is expected to reach a Category 5, which, as anyone worth their salt knows, is the highest degree, highest category a hurricane can reach, the most powerful strength it can reach. And based off of its trajectory, based off of all reports, it is headed straight for the Tampa area. The scene is yours.
So what's the plan then? What do we...
Well, they're gonna evacuate. That's for certain. I mean, they haven't even really started cleanup efforts from Helene. I mean, they've barely scratched the surface of cleanup. And based off of what they're saying here, if we're lucky, it's expected to make landfall at a Category 3. And they're expecting the eye of the storm to pass directly over the bay. And right now, the predictions are saying storm surges of about 15 feet. So if you consider that, that's looking at flooding of about 15 feet anywhere close to the coast, which means Lettuce Lake is probably going to be completely submerged, especially in the area right next to the lake. Where we are here, what we're probably going to deal with is a lot of wind, a good potential for debris, wind as high as up to 120 miles per hour. However, considering how most of this is made of concrete and the roofs are made of aluminum and steel, I think we'll be okay where we're located. We can get the RVs under shelter, so I think we'll be okay there. Physically, we'll be fine if we take cover here. But what that means for the cairn proper, it could be pretty rough. That's a pretty exposed area. And there is a lot of debris in the surrounds. I mean, there's a lot of trees. There's going to be a lot of roughage falling. And who knows? I mean, there's junkyards around the area. It's going to get pretty messed up. I mean, it's going directly through us and over us based off of the projected path. I don't even know what that means for Grandmother Willow either. She's going to get hit.
That was my first thought.
I know she's a spirit, but she's still a tree.
Is there anything we can do around the tree to try and... Because the winds where I'm from, I've seen trees get uprooted, and these are going to be really strong ones. Is there anything we can do around her to make sure she stays in the ground?
Well, she is a willow tree, and they are flexible. She's native, so she's meant for intense winds. I mean, that's what they do. A lot of they're meant to be able to sway in those kind of winds. We could put in some preventative measures, but this is really strong winds we're talking about here, and that doesn't even account for if strong enough debris were to hit her, whatever preventions we did take could topple her over. I mean, and even if we built a fortress around her, I can't say for sure it'd be even sustainable. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that could blow cars over.
That also means Lettuce Lake is out of the picture for a while afterwards, right?
If it floods, yeah. If it floods, especially to the degree they're talking about, I mean, all that water's got to go somewhere. It's getting picked up. It's going to get dropped right back down.
Also, to that point, is it safe there now?
They knew where to go. And based off of what Jester said, they know where I live. And they know possibly where the cairn is. They know all of our places. I mean, they knew where the cairn was before, too. From the sounds of it, that was the original cairn, so it makes sense that they know where that place is, too. They know all of our haunts. For the most part. We have, it seems like an advantage because we hit them where it hurts with the food. And maybe we have an advantage with the storm causing the chaos that it's caused, but that may have only bought us some time, realistically.
And also, if we're places separate and they know where we are, taking us off is going to be easy. Easier.
Are you saying you want us all to live together?
I think it might be a good idea, at least until we can get them under some sort of control.
I think most of us will enjoy that. I don't think Lucas will go for it.
I think Lucas would be okay with being together. It doesn't mean that he has to be leashed to the place. It just means that we all have a place. So if we're ambushed or put in a predicament, we're all together. And I don't think that he would disagree with that.
Right, but if we are all together, we're all in one spot also, though. Like, big enough force comes to try and take us out, we're all in one spot.
Big enough force comes to take one of us out, it's even less of an advantage.
It's true.
We also have the advantage that Lucas hasn't been around as long. So maybe they haven't had eyes on him as much as they have on the rest of us. I mean, we've all been around Jester a lot more than he has. And Leon's been hovering around her for a while.
I mean, I think that's a nice hope to have, but he's been around us with Regina. They know Regina. If they know Regina,
That's fair.
they've seen his face, and they probably aren't stupid enough to not follow him.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, if we consider that Lettuce Lake is compromised, if we consider that the gardens are compromised, and my place is compromised, that leaves us not very many options. We got to start looking at other possibilities. I mean, is this place even safe? We've been holding up here, but this place belonged to the old sept, and Obviously, there's no one around to claim it anymore. So was it even safe then?
So that too. I think somewhere secluded would probably be best. It's just something we have to look into, but we got to get everybody on board. I don't think I'll get a lot of pushback. We'll get a lot of pushback, but it's something we need to bring up, especially Eliza was compromised, so she's not safe either.
Yeah, her place is obviously not even a thing anymore. So
I think it might be for the best if once this hurricane is over, we start thinking about where we're going to go.
I think it's a good idea.
assuming Grandmother Willow makes it through this to begin with, and considering how stubborn and old she is, I'm pretty sure she will. I mean, you don't grow that tall in this area without weathering a few storms. What are we going to do with her then? I mean, we've opened the cairn there. We went through that whole process, and I'm not exactly personally keen at the thought of having to go through all that again. We can't just leave her again. We can't abandon her. So what are we going to do with that?
No, I think we still have the cairn. We still have something we can look over, watch, keep an eye on, do what we've continued to do with the cairn, even though none of us have lived there, obviously. I think we still keep doing what we need to do for the cairn. I just think it's better if we're somewhere else so we can keep taking care of the cairn.
Make sure we're safe so we can keep the cairn safe.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well, Artie, you've been here for a while. Is there other secluded places that I can't say that leeches won't go to, but less likely that we'd be followed or anything like that? Something that we can make sure that is well hidden?
I mean, the further out the better, honestly. As much as I hate to say it, because it skeeves every bone in my body to get further and further away from downtown, but roughing it is probably our best bet. That's the least likely place they're going to go. They have rooted themselves really well in the city. It seems to be that's their center of operations, so we need to get further from downtown. That's where we've managed to maintain cover the best. Probably away from the university, away from any centers of industry. We need to get out there, which I absolutely hate. That's not my thing, but that's your area of expertise. I mean, we did really well out at Lettuce Lake for a while. That was working for us. And if we can find a place like that, maybe even a little bit better than that, I think that would be a good start. Honestly.
There's a few places. We were off that old road. Didn't think anyone would really go down that old road. But yeah, it did work for a while. But there's places deeper, further in. But he'll point towards his computers. That kind of stuff isn't gonna work too well out there.
Yeah, I know. There's some workarounds that I can figure out. Satellite phones. There's ways I can make that work, and worst comes to worst, I go into town regularly to something. I make it work. I make it work. I make it work.
Really long extension cord.
Though Lucas made a good point. If they were really looking to hurt us, why just send one? And why send a weak one? Why just send the ghoul? Why just
probing?
Well, I think that yeah, but I also think that they were just trying to make a statement that they knew. That they knew where we were, that they could get to us. But also I think it was kind of an admission that they like an unintentional admission that they weren't ready to get to us. That they could. It was like an intimidation tactic, but I think they admitted more than they meant to. Because why not just send Mary? Why not just send the full force like they did with Eliza? If they were really intending to wipe us all out, they could have. Or supposedly could have. But they just sent the one.
I think maybe it was a message of, regardless, we can get to the people that matter most to you. Because they sent Leon. They said, hey, look, we had him under our employ and had him do our bidding. We can do these things and we can do whatever we want with the people you care about.
Yeah, the attack on Eliza was a show of strength of what they could do. This was a show of testing us. Like, what are we willing to do with us knowing that they have someone that's close to us?
Or maybe that they've had someone that's close to us the whole time.
Yeah.
That they've known about us the whole time. Whatever the case is, I think that being that remote is our friend. That works in our favor. So, as much as I hate the idea of it, we go remote. We go further out, like the old Cairns used to do, like the old Seps used to do, like the traditional guru.
You want to go into like the thick stuff.
Well, thicker the better.
For now, temporarily at least. If we find we like it, then there's that. But maybe we can talk to Regina about getting you one of her friends to give you a nice little hotspot, like a little spiritual hotspot for you. Is that how that works? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's a cell tower out there or something I can get into.
You can go talk to it or something.
Yeah, we'll make it work. But if nothing else, a fallback point is a good thing to have. A remote fallback point, because we need something we can go to that they're like less likely to follow. They don't rough it well, as far as I can tell. They prefer their comforts. That's why they tend to congregate around cities. They need to be near their food, and that's the advantage we have over them, is we don't need that. Not all of us, at least.
Well, after Milton, I can go check out a few different spots. How many people do we have now?
Us, I mean, Lucas, Jester, and Eliza, and Chloe, and Leon, and Charles.
Okay. All right. So,
but I don't think Charles is going to come with us. But I'm going to try and convince him. But that's a whole different bridge that I will burn when I need to.
Okay. Well, I'll try and find a spot, and I can get some shelters and stuff made up for us in the meantime afterwards and get things going.
So while it's just us, let's talk about all of that. Charles, Leon, what are we doing with all that?
Well, if I'm being completely honest with you, when we're speaking about Charles, I don't know. Feels like a glorified babysitter, but who am I to bite the hand that feeds us as far as Mr. Morningkill goes? As far as Leon goes, I went with Lucas and got some information. There's the wizard, Tato Man. He can make something that, or could experiment with making something that could help fix Leon's condition, or we just wait it out like someone being rehabilitated.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why are we trying to rehabilitate him?
Why wouldn't we?
He tried to kill us. He tried to kill Eliza. He tried to kill Aiden. That's what he was sent here to do. He was spying on us. He's the enemy.
And if it was somebody you cared about in the same position, doing all of those things, somebody you cared about in that position, you wouldn't try everything you could to get them back to the person that they could be?
We don't even know if it would work, and it could. If I thought that it was potentially going to cause them to suffer worse, I don't know if I could do it now. We don't even know if it could work.
We also didn't know that the tier would work.
Fair point. I'm just saying. It's not my decision to make. It's Jester's, in my mind. It's her connection. We're putting a lot of eggs in this leech basket. The Potato Man basket.
Mm-hmm.
We're relying on him a lot. And at the end of the day, he's still a leech.
I agree. I agree with you completely, Artie. That's why I didn't agree to have him make us anything. But I'm going to put the information out there because I want all of the information out there when we do make a decision, because I think it's important. And ultimately, if it was you, if it was Aiden, I would do everything I could.
If it was you, I would do everything I could too. If I was hurting you, at what point am I being selfish? At what point is it for me and no longer for you?
That's fair. Maybe we ask him what he wants. That gets a little complicated because he has influence on him right now. But
yeah. I know, and I don't want Jess to get hurt any more than she already has been by this guy. She was pretty fucked up about this whole situation, and him showing back up. I mean, I remember how much it hurt her to do it in the first place. I went with her when she did it. And now he shows back up and he was working with them the whole time. I'm surprised she didn't tear his fucking head off. And she would have had every right to. And I'm afraid that keeping him around is just hurting her more. And fixing him isn't going to fix the knife he stabbed in her back the whole time.
I agree. I see your point. But again, Jester's already lost so much. It's
Yeah.
her decision. And
No.
I can't choose for her.
I'm saying it now because I can't say it later. That's all.
You can. I think
won't.
Fair enough.
I'd be lying if I wasn't thinking the same thing. But Aspen brings up a good point. She has lost a lot. And if there is just a small chance that she can get something back, that is because she has sacrificed a lot. She's a wanted person here. She can't even walk the streets normally. Giving her something that she had beforehand might provide more than what's been taken away.
A look of realization briefly crosses Artie's face, but he quickly masks it and shoves it down. Yeah. It's her decision.
Are you okay?
I just... I wouldn't want to be in her shoes. Okay, so sounds like Aiden's best suited to find a place. I will see if I can find something that can make me still useful out there. Talk to Regina and see if she can help in any capacity with anything out there. And I'll keep an eye on the storm for now. It's no good news right now, but I also know they tend to catastrophize these things, at least in my experience, having lived here my whole life. It very rarely turns out to be as bad as they say it will, but if anything they're saying here is even remotely true, this could be the worst thing we've seen in almost a century, supposedly. So
We'll talk to Eliza and see what we can do.
okay. With that, we transition to across town. Jester, it's been a few days since you have heard anything about the state of Leon. Any responses you've heard from Aspen's inquiries into Charles's whereabouts or the state of Leon has been, he's alive, as requested. And while maybe for the first day that was enough for you, you can't help but want more information. Because despite the betrayal despite the frustration, the importance that he had to you, the importance he continues to have to you, lingers. The ache that remains inside of you, the void that's been left behind, still tugs at you, and you need more answers. So you eventually end up reaching out to Charles yourself, demanding to see Leon, to check for yourself that a text message saying that he's alive as requested isn't going to be enough. And so eventually Charles agrees and gives you a location. Not even an address, just a location, a pin on a map, which is a driveway or like a roadside in an industrial complex. And so as you take the motorcycle out, you're given a time around dusk, one of these weekday nights leading up to the hurricane, a Sunday night, when the hurricane's expected to make landfall on Wednesday, just a few days before the hurricane, before the evacuation orders are to be given on Monday. So as you bring the motorcycle out to this industrial complex inland, you see the luxury sedan already parked idling on the side of the road. Charles leaned up against the sedan, dressed in a fine suit, arms crossed over his chest. You can see that the trunk is slightly ajar. And as you bring the motorcycle to a stop, he pushes off the car. Jester.
Charles.
He's been asking a lot of questions about you.
Funny, I thought you would be the one asking the questions.
I've had my share of questions. He's been rather tight-lipped. But I didn't expect him to have many answers. They rarely do.
You've come across someone like him before.
They always send in the servitors first. They're dispensable.
Oh, walk towards the trunk. Peek inside.
As you lift open the trunk, you can see hog tied in the back of the trunk is Leon, bag over his head.
Just I'm not gonna take the bag off, but like looking at any like bear skin or anything. Are there any bruises that I can see? Not looking for anything like that would need a medicine roll, just cursory.
Give me a wits and investigation.
Okay. Two successes.
His clothes look disheveled, and what little exposed skin can be seen looks dirty. He doesn't look any worse for wear than the last time you saw him. But there isn't a lot of exposed skin to be seen.
I won't completely shut the trunk, but I'll lower it. Turn around. Did you do anything to him?
Would you want to know if I did?
Yes and no, I suppose. Kind of torn on it, like everything with him.
Part of me believes he would deserve a great deal done to him. He is a servant of the worm, after all. Another part of me believes he deserves nothing but our pity, having had it forced upon him, possibly. Or maybe he asked for it. Who's to say? But this is what they do. They find the things that we care about. They find our vulnerabilities and they exploit them. They infect them. This is what the worm does. It rots away everything that lives.
I am well aware of what they do. They have taken everything from me this past year. And I'm going to make them pay for it.
Yes, you will. But first, you have to forgive yourself. Because you didn't do it. It was done to you.
But it's my fault it happened. It's
By
my fault he's
existing?
like this. By getting involved with him. I don't know, maybe if this had been Colorado, things would have been different, but not here. Aiden asked a few days ago why I'm trying, but it is because him being like this is my fault. And honestly, I don't even know when it started. Bateman's law firm got in contact with me before the pack even formed. It could have started then with him. I don't know.
Does it even matter?
No, suppose not. I don't
Does it
even know.
change anything? When it started? How it started?
I guess not.
Would you have done anything differently? Would you have run away from your responsibility, avoided joining the pack?
No. I don't know. Maybe I would have tried to let him go sooner.
You couldn't have protected him. Whether he became their servitor or their food. He is always at risk just by being alive. We are all at risk just by being alive. I was raised with the belief that the fewer vulnerabilities you have, the better. But in reality, it means that I've had a very empty life. A life of duty. A life of responsibility. But a very empty life. You may feel guilt about the harm that's come to the connections that you've had, but you've had those connections. You had the opportunity to have those connections. And for what bad came to them, there was also good. There has to be something more than just the fight. Or else, what's the point?
So why do you fight? If there's something more, what's your something more?
I fight with the hope that they'll stop making those like me one day. I fight with the hope that they won't have to keep making soldiers like me. That they can make more like you. Because they need those like me now. Because without me, because without those like me, the nation falls and shatters like it has. Order must be maintained. Structure must exist. And it has been far too long. Chaos reigns.
I mean, It's kind of part of the wild, isn't it?
And the balance is out of control.
Fair.
I'm sorry that this has happened to you. All these things have happened to you. And I can't promise you they won't continue happening to you. If anything, it's quite likely they will. But you are not alone.
Thanks. You're not either, you know.
I'm learning that. As annoying as it may be.
Yeah, we can be kind of annoying, but we kind of grow on you too.
Like a fungus.
I didn't say it, even though I was thinking it. Or flower, or one of Lucas's poisonous plants.
He is starting to show signs. It is likely he will start to feel the effects of withdrawal. It has likely been some time since he last tasted of them. From what I know of them, he might have at least a month, at best, before it starts to become detrimental.
Aspen, I think, was supposed to be looking into if there is anything that can be done. I mean, even if he can survive it, I don't know how much will change. I don't know how much they've twisted his mind before he fed off of them.
Is that what you want?
I want him to have enough of a choice to tell me what he wants outside of being addicted to them.
But what if he's trading one addiction for another?
What would his other addiction be?
The one he had before.
Oh, that's not going to happen. We're not the same anymore. And I could never trust him again. But maybe he can pick up some sort of life if he wants to, away from me. That's the best I can give him. Or, I suppose, swift death.
perhaps. Very well. Are you satisfied with proof of life?
I am. Yeah. Could you keep him for a bit longer since there's another hurricane coming?
I intended to.
Thanks.
I know my methods are unusual. I
That's one word
am
for it.
adjusting to your way of doing things. I just ask that you trust or extend the same kind of trust to me that I am extending to you in the way that I do my way of doing things.
Okay.
Then we shall weather the storm, and I will see you on the other side.
So should I take it to Aspen? You're not coming to any meetings that happen soon. Most likely.
I would rather maintain watch on this one to make sure they don't try to come for him or do anything foolish until we are on the other side of this.
I'll let her know. Thanks.
If she needs me, all she has to do is call. I will see you soon, Jester.
Yeah. After the storm. We'll see you.
With that, he turns, shuts the trunk fully, makes his way over to the driver's side door, opens it, gives you one last look before climbing in, shutting the door, and pulling the car off onto the road and driving away. What's going through your mind as you watch the sedan drive off down the industrial driveway?
I'm a bit surprised Charles showed a lot more compassion than he has I thought that he would. Also, I thought he would have possibly hurt Leon a lot more than I saw, so that's also good. Underneath it is just the dread that I am probably going to have to kill Leon, and that's going to hurt a lot.
Okay. So as you climb onto the motorcycle, starting up the engine, you pull off onto the road, heading back towards Greer's, the storage unit complex, which has been a home for these past couple of weeks. We transition now back to that same storage complex. Another week has passed, and it is now Tuesday night. Evacuation orders have been given. The city is on high alert. The storm is coming, and it is set to arrive the next day. The hurricane, expected to be a Category 3 when it arrives and makes landfall. Winds expected to reach up to 120 miles per hour when it hits. Storm surges anywhere from 9 to 15 feet. They have evacuated up to 10 or so, or I should say 3 to 5 miles inland. the beaches in their entirety, zones A, B, or the beaches A and B have been evacuated. Everyone is expected to be out by Tuesday night. But where you are located in Tampa is outside of those evacuation zones where you're expected to shelter in place. But within the storage unit, Eliza has gathered you all together. She looks over to all of you, having stepped away from the ritual circle where she has spent a good majority of her time these past 2 weeks, only stopping to sleep and eat. I want to start by telling you how grateful I am to each of you for all you have done this past year. You have shown such growth, such strength as Guru and as people. And everything I have asked you to do, and everything I haven't asked you to do, you have done. And I am so proud. What happened with the storm, with the contrition, was no failure of yours. It was a failure of mine. In failing to maintain my responsibilities as the right master of the area, in failing to upkeep my responsibilities this past decade, I betrayed and abandoned the spirits which were my dearest companions. And they have every right to be angry with me. They have every right to feel offended. And in such, I have brought a great deal of danger to this area. I asked you to do something you should never have been asked to do. And I know that you tried with everything you could to do your very best. You brought everything you had in you to the tasks that I asked you to enact. Unfortunately, the spirits were not satisfied with all of the efforts. This is not a failing on your part. It is a hard thing to take action against someone you hold so dear, and if anything, I take it as an honor, and it warms my heart that you hold me in such high regard, that you view me as someone so important that you could not act in such a way against me. Spirits are very fickle, and they demand action, they demand justice. As such, they have brought this storm in their fury and in their anger. And they have directed this storm here. I will not go quietly against it, though. That is not our way. While we respect the spirits, while we honor them, while we live in harmony with them the best we can, when needs call for it, we will combat them, if necessary, to bring about balance. And that is what we must do. So I ask you to stand with me against these spirits once more. For in their fury, I believe that they have brought banes upon them. I believe in their anger, they will bring banes with them to bear. I cannot say that we will prevent the destruction of the storm, nor would I seek to. But I believe that we may yet lessen some of nature's fury. For if that fury is to be directed at us, at me, I should be there to face it. I should be there to take it. I should be there to combat it. And it should not fall upon innocence. But as I am not one of the nation, I would not see this responsibility forced upon you. I would not see you feel it necessary to take it up. One way or another, I will face this threat. And should you choose to join me, I would be honored to stand beside you. And I will instruct you on what to prepare for. But should you choose to stay and shelter, I will completely understand. And I can prepare you also for what you may expect in that case. But that is the truth of the situation as I see it. And again, this is not your responsibility or your fault. So you should feel no guilt or failure here.
I'm gonna stand up. Someone reminded me not long ago, you shouldn't feel at fault or guilty for the actions of what agents of the worm have done.
And
So,
despite all that, we're responsible for combating it at any point. Regardless of the fault, this is our job. This is why we're here.
yeah, I mean, kind of Gar would be that we'd like turn our back on an impending danger to the city we're trying to help. And you know I'd stand by you anyways.
While I might have disagreements and reservations on the purpose of these storms, where they come from and what they're rooted in, if they're bringing things that shouldn't be here, then I don't really feel like this is a conversation. When do we leave?
You brought me a fish. I think I owe you another one.
There are preparations to be made. Certainly. Tomorrow, when the storm is set to arrive, we will cross over once more into the Umbra. We will make our way towards the eye of the storm, combating whatever we find along the way, whether they be elemental spirits or banes, anything that tries to obstruct our path, we will fight our way through, making our way towards the heart of the storm itself. If they are simply fulfilling their purpose and mean us no ill intent, we will let them be. But if they are going beyond, if they are clearly of ill intent, if they are corrupt, seeking to do more harm than nature intends, beyond what the wild purpose is, we must stop them. and you will be able to tell the difference. Truly listen to your instincts. They will not lead you astray. Listen to the part spirit of you. You will know what belongs and what doesn't. When we get to the center, this is where we will encounter the greatest resistance. For this is the part that has the most fury, the most anger. When we break through the initial resistance, this is where we will meet the heart of the storm. This will be perhaps the greatest challenge because it will not be a challenge of might. This will be a challenge of spirit. They will not want to hear from me. I have already tried. They find my words empty, fruitless, without meaning. They do not trust my intentions anymore. This is where I will need you. She looks to Aspen. And you. She looks to Jester. You will need to sing the songs and speak the words to convince them that we are taking up the mantle once more. That we are fulfilling the role we mean to fulfill. That we will carry on our purpose. And that we will fulfill our responsibilities once again. If you are convincing, if we can soothe their fury, then perhaps all will be well. We cannot stop the storm. The storm is nature. Nature must fulfill its purpose. But we can set things aright once more, restore the balance as it's meant to be restored. Bring back set things aright. Return things to the way they're meant to be. Bring back the seasons. Should you be particularly convincing, perhaps you can win their favor. However, should you offend them further, we could lose favor with them. And while they may be willing to take us at our word that we will fulfill our duties, spirits have long memories and can still be spiteful. And trickery isn't beyond them. So take this time and think on your words, think on your arguments. Think on ways to convince them, for they will bring up reasonable statements. And remember, they know you better than you think they do, for they see much and have been around a very long time. And they will call upon you and all that you are, for they see through you. They will look for your faults, expecting you to fail. And like the storm, they will attempt to tear you apart. Be strong, and I will stand beside you, and I will hold you together. That is all I can prepare you for. Any questions?
Do you think it would be more advantageous for you to be on this side?
No, I need to go with you. They need to see my face and see my purpose. And if they do decide to something is meant to be destroyed, I would rather it be me than you.
Not gonna let that happen.
I understand. I am the one who still owes them something. In their minds, they would consider it cowardice for me to hide. I will not give them that advantage on you in the argument. Any other questions? Very well. Take the evening, finding your center. For tomorrow we cross, and we begin our journey towards the eye. With that, you all settle in for the evening, finding your inner calm to the best of your ability, despite the storm starting to rage outside. And with that, we're going to go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll see you for part 2 when the storm arrives. See you in just a few minutes. Welcome back. In the first half, our pack prepared for the second hurricane set to hit the Tampa area. Hurricane Milton, which had formed and became a Category 5 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, set to be historically destructive. Hurricane 5 or Category 5 hurricanes don't form in the Gulf of Mexico usually. This is something of historic proportions, something set to be ultimately devastating as it makes its way for the coast of Florida. Our pack, making the preparations they can, set to head into the Umbra as Wednesday comes about, the day the hurricane is expected to make landfall. Pack, are there any preparations you wish to make before entering into the Umbra with Eliza? Anything you wish to do? You are starting this encounter at Rage 3, as the intensity of the situation calls for it, but are there any rites or gifts you wish to enact before crossing over to the other side?
Is it nighttime? Is the moon out?
The moon, you would have to have howled at the moon the night before, because the storm comes about midday this day. So no, the moon is not out.
I wish to perform a Song of Rage.
Song of
for
Rage.
the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I should say it comes later in the evening before the moon comes out, though. It comes in around like 4 or 5 p.m. is when it starts to hit.
How inconvenient.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I was there.
I will make my rage check. And I will sing so that let me make sure on it. Okay. I am going to spend a willpower. Okay, there we go. 4 successes. So I have to make a gift test at a difficulty of 3. Since I was successful, all other members of the pack gain 1 point of rage. It was not a critical win, so you guys don't gain 2.
Okay. So everybody gains an additional rage, bringing you up to 4 rage.
Except me.
Okay. Anyone else have any other preparations they wish to make?
I will say that just before we go into the Umbra, I will switch into Glabro, so just in cases.
Okay, so go ahead and make the rage check.
I lose a rage, so I'm back at 3.
Okay. So as you shift, calling upon the rage within, growing into a more hulking stance, filling out with muscle, growing in size. Eliza, however, makes her way around to each of you with a little bowl full of a blue kind of fluid liquid that she dips a thumb into, and as she moves across, she starts etching symbols on each of your faces, kind of drawing these sigils onto each of your faces, almost in like a makeup paint. She draws these symbols on your faces as she passes by, and she seems to be uttering this mantra as she does so. And once she's made her way around, drawing a different iconography on each of you, she draws on herself as well, and she says, "This should be able to assist you when you're on the other side, being able to tell which ones are doing good and which ones are working of ill intent. You gain a +1 to wits rolls to detect which spirits mean harm and which ones are just doing their jobs. So plus an additional die on wits rolls to detect banes versus regular spirits." Okay. Having made your preparations, she begins the rite of shadow passage. She starts lighting incense in a circle, bringing you all together, having you join hands. She starts her mantra as usual, having you all join in, uttering the words over and over, closing your eyes as the world begins to lose its focus, as darkness starts to creep in, as everything starts to grow blurry. And eventually, the sound starts to become a low, roiling rumble, and the storm starts to creep its way in, the winds starting to pick up. You can start to hear the howling, whistling winds in the distance. You can hear the thunder and the crackle of lightning overhead. And as you pass to the other side, you can see the twisting torrent up in the sky, even from here off in the distance. In front of you, you can see the clouds coiling overhead, the bands extending out as far as the eye can see. Passing beyond, you can see the structures that make up the Weaver's creations all around you, and you can see these bands reaching out almost like long tentacles towards them, swiping at them, reaching towards them. Off in the distance, you can see waves reaching up high, curling, entangling themselves up into the winds up above, coiling almost like tornadoes. And behind you, on the land, you can see fingers from the sky starting to reach down as the wind and the sky starts reaching toward the earth, as cyclones start to form. Eliza, taking in the whole situation, starts to observe. All right. We have a great deal of work ahead of us. We need to try and neutralize the immediate area before we head towards the eye. Stay as close together as you can. They will try to separate us and divide us. As soon as they know what our intentions are, they are going to try and pull us apart. Keep inside of one another the best you can. Everybody go ahead and roll me a wits and occult roll to see if you can discern if there are any spirits of ill intent in the immediate area. Okay. So, Jester and Lucas, as you look off in separate directions, Lucas off to your side, you can see that one of the cyclones that's starting to move its way down seems to be a torrent of these elemental wind spirits that are moving their way down, starting to make into a cyclone pattern heading towards the ground, looking like they're going to turn into a tornado headed towards the ground. But amidst them, in the center of the tornado, looks to be a fury bane stirring up the elemental spirits, pushing them, riling them up, trying to drive them down towards the ground. Jester, on the opposite side, in a similar fashion, you see, again, these elemental wind spirits moving, riling up with a fury bane in the center, kind of driving them towards the ground, trying to get them even more fired up, pushing them downward. But they are on opposite sides, driving downward. Aiden and Aspen, you just see a whole lot of wind going on.
I got one over on this side.
I see one too.
Well, Eliza said stick together, so let's stick together.
Which one are we going for?
Left.
Okay, so heading towards Jester's Bane specifically, you begin moving forward, preparing to engage. Who wants to take point?
Aiden will go.
Okay, so as we enter into combat, declare your intentions. For these first few encounters, we're going to make them one and out. So, one round and out for these early encounters.
As while walking up, go into Hispo.
Okay. So go ahead and make the rage check to turn into the dire wolf shape.
We're good.
Okay, dropping down onto all fours, growing into the enlarged wolf shape, filled with muscle. The same drawings, kind of the woad painting on you, seems to shape with you, still taking the blue etched markings even on your wolf lupus form, the lupine shaped face. You could still see the blue etchings even on your face.
Has the Fury Bane like reached like the ground where it can actually
It
be
does
attacked
seem
at
to
this
be
point?
making a beeline towards the ground, yeah.
Okay. Going to try and bite at it as it meets the ground.
Okay. Aspen, what's your intention?
Yeah, I'm gonna get on the other side of Aiden, and I'm just gonna try and pummel it.
Okay, so strength and brawl. Jester.
I'm going to shift into Krynos, and I'm going to leap up and try to slam it into the ground.
Okay, so 2 rage checks. And Lucas.
I am going to shift to Galabro.
Okay.
I'm good. And he'll draw his clave and take on a one-handed stance, and he'll go in to slash at it.
Okay, give me a strength and or dexterity and melee. All right, Aiden. How many successes?
With the still getting the negative for going the transformation and not okay. 6 with a crit, but with a brutal.
Okay. Aspen.
4.
4. Jester.
Brawl and a
Strength and
With
brawl,
strength?
yeah. But
Yeah,
you are
okay.
making the transition as well, so you got to take the 2 die penalty.
All right.
4 successes.
5 successes.
Okay. So easy enough separating through the wind, being able to discern the difference between the elemental wind spirits and the Bane spirit, with Jester kind of leading the charge and being able to point out the Bane from the elemental wind spirits. You were able to kind of cut through the center of the cyclone, picking through the Bane and cutting into the center of it. All of you rending through and tearing apart into the Bane with very little effort, dispatching of the cyclone, sending the spirits kind of all whirling off to the side and separating to join off into the greater gusts that are kind of cycloning into the band up above. You do see that the cyclone that you did not dispatch off to the side has touched down on the ground and is starting to kind of wreak destruction, tearing apart some of the Weaver's creations off to the side as it touches down on the ground and is starting to rend off on the other side of the field. What would you like to do next?
Running to that one.
Okay. So I need you to make another wits and occult to see if you can tell the difference. As now it has touched down, debris is starting to get caught up in it. The Weaver's kind of webbed creation starting to get lost amongst the debris. Okay? 2 successes, 2 successes, 2 successes, 4 successes. Okay. So everybody can make an attack against the Bane. However, Lucas, you can make it at full strength. Everybody else has to make a -2 penalty because they might hit a wind spirit instead of the Bane itself because of all the debris that's getting caught up in the cyclone.
I'm going to try, when I go in to hit it, I'm going to try to come down on it and pin it to the ground.
Okay.
Or at least pin some appendage to the ground so that they can see and easier go after it.
Right on.
Five successes.
Okay. So, with Lucas's assistance, getting able to kind of drive it out of the cyclone and pin it to the outside, the rest of you are able to leap onto it and rend it apart, ripping it from the cyclone. The cyclone, having touched down, continues to swirl as a tornado, but with less force. It seems to be doing less destructive energy as the wind spirits continue to do what they're meant to do, but it doesn't grow in size, and it doesn't seem to be as destructive. Eliza, at this point, keeping you guys within vision, starts moving her way outwards towards the coast, pushing forward, heading towards the eye, keeping a decent enough pace not to lose sight of you or to break apart from you guys as she prompts you to start moving your way onwards. That being said, I need another wits and occult check as you do encounter more of these bands of elemental spirits moving in your direction. Okay. Okay. So, as you move forward, Lucas, go ahead and make me a dexterity and athletics check. The rest of you, I need you to make me dexterity and athletics checks -4 as you get hit by a band of wind spirits, but you are not able to determine the bane amidst the band of wind spirits that does strike out at you. Okay. All right. Lucas, you're fine. You're able to avoid it. Aspen, Aiden, and Jester, I need you all to take 3 superficial damage already halved as amidst this band of wind spirits, most of which just kind of brush over you, claws kind of rake at all of your skins, just ripping open fresh wounds across your midsections. You are now engaged with your own bane spirits, each of you. We are now in a round of combat, 3 rounds and out. You may all declare your intentions.
How close am I to the rest of the pack?
You're all kind of side by side in a...
So I could use Spirit of the Fray to attack an additional
Yeah,
Bane.
absolutely.
Sweet. I'm going to do a rage on that, just to see if I can. Yeah, we're good. I'm going to attack the one next to Aspen, as well as the one I'm attacking.
Okay. And Aspen.
Yes. I'm gonna pummel the one that's on me for now.
Yeah, so basically you've walked through this band of spirits that have passed by you, and now you've turned around to face them as they have gotten behind you. Lucas, you were able to sidestep yours as they kind of got through you, and now you've turned to face them.
6 on the one with me, 5 on the one for Aspen.
Okay. Aspen, 4 successes. Jester.
I'm gonna tip to rip into the one that's attacking me.
Okay. And Lucas.
Another one-handed strike on the one that's attacking me.
Dexterity and melee.
Question.
Yeah.
Since Aiden, Aspen, and I got attacked, do we gain an additional point of rage?
Uh,
Since we were harmed. We usually, when you first get
yeah.
harmed, you're supposed
Since
to gain
it's
a
your
point of rage.
first, yeah, it's your first time taking damage in this encounter. Yeah. 4 successes. Okay. Okay, so amidst these kind of circling mini gusts of wind, these clawed, glowing red-eyed spirits kind of emerge from the gusts of wind, lashing out at you. Aspen and Lucas, you kind of are able to exchange blows with it, but neither do you deal damage or take any damage from them. The claws kind of clashing off of your blows or deflecting off of your blows with one another, no damage being exchanged. Aiden, however, you are able to claw into or bite into the gust of wind while also dealing damage to the one that is exchanging blows with Aspen. And Jester, you are able to rend into your gust of wind. Some of the wind breaking apart, it letting out a screech of anguish and pain in exchange for your attack. Second round, declare your intentions.
Rinse and repeat. Keep attacking the one in front of me, and then I'll do another rage to see if I can attack the one next to Aspen.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
Rinse and repeat as well.
Same
Same
Z's.
thing.
Just to clarify, I have 5 rage now.
5 rage, yes.
Okay.
Six successes.
6 successes, okay.
I got 6 with a crit.
First one, 7. The following one, 6 with a crit.
I got a brutal, so total is 7.
Okay. Now able to identify the foes, getting a full view of them no longer having the cover of the elemental wind spirits that they were using to shield them. You all get the upper hand on the spirits using claw and clave and tooth to get the upper hand. You are rending into them, ripping this almost ectoplasmic goo from them, tearing them apart. These anguished screams echoing with the wind that seems to be howling amongst you as you start to tear them apart. They are still up, but they are starting to dissipate very rapidly and quickly in front of you. Final round, declare your intentions. Rinse and repeat, I'm sure.
You got it. Oh. I'm not helping with this next one with Aspen.
Okay.
I got a brutal again.
Okay. All right. So in the final encounter, Aiden, you manage to pounce upon yours, using your teeth to bury into this whirling, windy spirit of claw and glowing eye. The eyes immediately extinguish, the claws dissipate into nothingness as the wind breaks apart and dissipates entirely. Jester, same thing as you bury your claws into and rake apart, the winds busting apart immediately into nothingness and vapor. Lucas slashing your clave through, it separates into halves and dissipates. Aspen, on the way out of burying your fists into it and trying to break it apart, it does, for one good measure, rake a claw across you, doing 2 more points of superficial damage on its way out, but it does dissipate as the others turn on it and destroy it in the process. But it does get 1 little more rake on you for good measure. So, with this last group of Banes out of the way, you continue to move forward. Passing through, you can see the destruction that's being wrought. You can see that the storm is already doing its dirty work. The winds are passing over the area. Trees, even though they're on the umbral side, are being pushed and swinging in the wind. Their branches just flowing and breaking off and skirting over the landscape. You can see the structures that are built by the Weaver trying to hold strong against the mass, but you can see the wind spirits pushing against them heavily. You can see spirits of water flowing up onto the land and over it, pushing large, just sandy hills over, just moving these large duffs off to the side and just pushing them over the roadway and onto the parking lots. The land itself is moving. The landscape, even on this umbral side, is shifting. Spirits seem to be combating spirits. Even though it's nature, nature is fighting nature. The wild and the weaver, wild versus wild, wild versus weaver. Everything is sheer and utter chaos here. And while it may seem natural, there is something supernatural, something abnormal that is happening within the forces here. And as you push your way forward, you can feel a force pushing against you. So I need everyone to make me a strength and athletics roll, as now you are leaning against the wind, trying to push your way forward, trying to claw for every footfall to kind of push your way forward. Jester, if you would like to stay in your Krynos form, I need you to spend a willpower to do so.
Can I also assist Eliza with trying to push
Sure.
against the wind? Okay.
Yeah.
Seven.
Okay.
Do you want me to do a roll to kind of like help Eliza?
No, I'll account for it. Okay. All of you manage to maintain your footfalls, but you can feel your feet digging into the ground beneath you, sliding a little bit with each footfall as you are straining against the wind, but you are still making progress as you're pushing yourself forward. You're traveling over the land a lot further than you expect, a lot faster than you expect. You're covering a great deal of ground. The landscape changes rapidly. The surroundings don't seem as familiar as they once were. When you were in the storage complex that was Greer's, you seem to have covered a great deal of ground. Now you find yourself possibly past the airport, nearing the bay itself. It's hard to say, as the structures aren't as familiar as they would be if you were on the other side of things. On the umbral side, everything seems a little more alien, a little bit more foreign. But now you see that you are on the edge of the water. And the water is starting to pull itself outward, as if being sucked out further and further. And so you're finding yourself walking out into the emptying kind of bay waterbed. As you continue to push forward, you can see spirits that belong within the water struggling to kind of chase the water outwards. Spirits of fish and sea life trying to chase after the rapidly disappearing water as it is being sucked outward towards the storm. As you continue to push outward, emerging from the rapidly disappearing water line, three large, lumbering spiritual entities that it doesn't take much effort to recognize are beings, banes of pollution, start to rumble from beneath the water's surface, roiling their way on the land, heading in your direction, kind of moving slowly, lumbering heavily with large footfalls. They seem to be just mounds, large rolling mounds of mass and decay, rumbling across the surface, roiling towards you. It doesn't take a wits and occult roll to identify these. These look completely foreign, nothing like the elemental wind spirits you've been trying to identify. What do you wish to do?
Before we get up to them, is it possible? So I'm going to say a lot of things all at once. Since I'm in Glabro and it's a free action to regenerate, can I roll a rage to regenerate one superficial?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then explain this to me because I know it's a minor action to shift into Krynos, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can I still do an action, like a full action?
What action are you trying to do?
I would like to do Mother's Touch on Aiden.
As you're shifting? Because shifting is a 2-die penalty. So if you were to try and do the Mother's Touch, it's like a 2-die penalty on top of the shift. And Mother's Touch does require a dice roll.
Yeah, I would still like to do it if I can.
So you want to subtract the 2 dice from your pool to do Mother's Touch?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
I want to scan over them, and I want to use Fatal Flaw to try to discern some form of weakness.
Okay.
That is going to be an intelligence plus glory versus their, if they have one, composure plus subterfuge.
Sure. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, go ahead and roll it.
Are these three like within a few meters of each other?
Yeah, they're all pretty close together.
Sweet.
3 successes.
3 successes. Okay.
I'm going to also spend a rage to heal 2 of my superficial. Oh, and I made it, so cool. And I'm going to attack one, but I'm going to position myself so that like the others don't surround me, or won't easily surround me. But I'm going into attack.
Okay.
Are they within 20 meters of us right now?
They're probably a little further out than that just because you guys are doing all this preparation stuff beforehand. I don't want them to be too close so that you can do all this preparation stuff before we get into combat.
Okay. Is it possible to get the Mother's Touch and then run up so they are within 20 meters, and then I'll use Lacerating Wind on all 3 of them?
I will say you can do that after, when we get into the next round.
Sounds
I
good.
will let everyone do their preparation stuff, and then you can do it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So you get 1 superficial back, Aiden. And then I lost 1 rage after shifting and regenerating 1 superficial.
Okay, so, based off of your roll to determine if they have any weaknesses, what you can tell is that their greatest weakness is anything. They are not mentally strong in any capacity. Physically, they are very strong. They are dense. They are like, they can take a good deal of punishment, and if you get in close, it's a bad thing. Like, if they can grab you, it's a bad thing. But if you can kind of get in, get out, you'll be okay. But if they can get a hold of you, it's a bad thing. But if you can do something to fuck with their brain in any capacity, or their sense of sense, that's an advantage. They are not very aware. They are not very... Sneak attacks are a good thing.
Okay, so I will yell out, don't let them touch you. Go for their minds. And then, yeah, I'll wait for the next round to do more, because I think that's about it.
Okay.
Attack the heads. Got it.
Aspen, what'd you get on your mother's touch?
Yes, I got 2. So he regains 1 superficial, and then I did lose a rage between healing one of my superficial and shifting. So.
Okay. Jester, what did you do?
I went up to it. I ran to attack them. I've got 6 successes.
Okay, so you're just moving in, going for the attack. Okay.
Yeah, I made my rage, so I did, and I healed, but so I didn't lose a rage. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so yeah, you were just running in, going towards the garbage heaps, and just leaping in to attack them. Okay.
I'm making sure, like, or I'm trying to get it to that, like, I angle myself where they won't surround me.
Okay, so yeah, you were kind of going in, you were strafing outwards and trying to attack from the side towards one of the outlying ones. Okay.
Right.
Got it. All right, so as you leap towards one of the outlying ones, you go to strike it, and this tendril goes, kind of shoots out of one of the piles and manages to deflect your blow, and you are not able to do any damage to it whatsoever. It just swipes aside, knocking you away.
Okay.
All right. First round, declare your intentions, everyone.
Lacerating wind.
Okay. Aspen.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to spend another rage to heal 2 superficial. And then I will attempt to try and... So if I go in to try and bite it and back out, does that give me any penalty? Like, how does that work?
So if you want to, if you were to attack it, if you wanted to try and bite and run, I would say you could try a dexterity and brawl to try and run and gun it, rather than a strength and brawl would be the way I'd see it. But it is still going to oppose you with an attack of its own. What I meant by run and gun is try and do sneak attacks, meaning stealth attack, to try and get those sneak attack bonuses of it having little defense. But if you, there's no real like bonus to get out on an attack roll. But yeah, actually, Aiden, if you want to go ahead and do the lacerating wind first to see if you can get them slowed first before people start rolling attacks, you can.
So I got 6 with a crit, but they have to do a either a survival, a stamina or survival roll, or a dexterity and athletics to evade.
Okay. And what does it do if they fail?
If they fail, they have a -2 to all their attack rolls.
Okay. Well, they do not have survival and they do not have athletics, so they fail. Okay. So yeah, the big piles of trash that are kind of rolling up all start slowly kind of stumbling down to a slower roll up onto the land as they slow down in their speed, rolling up. Okay. Now you can declare your intentions to attack, because I will say that was a preparation roll. Everyone can now make their attack rolls if they wish to.
Gonna attack the head, like Lucas said.
Sure, it's a big pile of trash, but
Gonna
go for
try
where
and-
you think a head would be.
Yep. I'll take a 2 dice penalty. I'm gonna go into Krynos since there's 3 of them.
Okay.
I'm going to use my free action to call upon ancestors.
Okay.
Rage check's good.
I got 2 successes, so I get 2 extra dice.
Okay.
I'm going to slip into whatever line of sight blocking things, the wind, anything that I could find to just kind of make them lose me in.
Okay.
I'm gonna make my
Yeah, give me a
stealth check.
dexterity and stealth.
You only attacked one, didn't you, Aiden?
Yeah, for right now, just the one.
Did you attack the same one I previously attacked, or did you attack a different one?
No, he's going to the opposite side.
Okay, then I'll keep attacking the one I was on.
So, Jester, as you call upon the ancestors, you feel that extra strength of rider fill you, that extra anger, that extra rage. As your muscles feel a little stiffer, a little stronger.
Let's do this.
Aspen, what are you doing?
I'm just gonna try and bite it.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
going for the one in the center then, as they're attacking the ones on the side? Okay.
Yeah, just to make sure that they don't get like a free attack on one of them.
Okay. So, Lucas, you got to take this turn hiding, but then next turn you'll get...
Yeah, spent the willpower and 4 with a crit.
Okay. And Jester, how many successes you got for me?
1 second, I'm going to spend a willpower as well. Ten successes.
Okay, so thanks to Aiden's lacerating wind, it lowered all of their attacks, which made the difficulty to beat them a lot better. So all of you are successful as you all bury jaws, claws into the side of them, tearing pieces of refuse. Anybody who bit gets a mouthful of disgusting garbage, but does manage to rend it free, causing shrieks and chitters of this disgusting grinding sound of pain coming from the large piles of refuse as you rend them free. These tendrils kind of try to swipe at you, but you manage to knock them aside as they break free. Lucas, they don't appear to have noticed you. Next round, everyone declare their intentions. Lucas, which one do you want to go for?
I'm going to go after the one that Aiden is attacking because I need Aiden off of that one as fast as possible to help the other two.
Okay.
Gonna do a rage. Gonna try and attack the one that Aspen's with as well.
Okay.
We're good.
I'm going to spend a rage to activate, why can't I forget the name of the gift right now? Raging Strike. Ugh.
I'm gonna bite the gross thing.
First attack for the one that Aiden's at, that was 6. The one that he's helping Aspen with, that was 7 with a brutal.
Okay. Five. Okay.
+2.
9 successes with a crit.
Okay. And Aspen, how many did you get? 5. Okay. So as you all leap upon your piles of trash, Aiden, you bite into yours, not getting as deep as you would like as you focus more of your energy on getting into, getting over towards Aspen's. However, Lucas, appearing out of nowhere, managed to pounce onto the opposite side of the same pile you are on, driving his clave deep into the pile and ripping through it, just decimating the pile of trash, just separating it into 2 separate piles, causing it almost to immediately start dissolving and breaking down into 2 separate halves, dissipating and disappearing into this, again, ectoplasmic ooze as it starts dissolving immediately. Aspen and Aiden, you are now on one pile, both of you attacking it. It is whittled down quite significantly, but still there. Jester, yours is looking really rough, but it is still going. None of you have managed to take any damage from yours as you are fending off these tendrils with the upper hand on the piles that you are contending with. Final round, declare your intentions. Sam, I'm guessing rinse and repeat.
I'm gonna move behind, move a little bit closer to where Aspen is and attack the one Jester's at and the one that Aspen's at.
Okay.
Ripping and tearing and rending this thing apart.
Going full werewolf.
Eight with another crit.
Okay.
8 and 8 on both.
Okay. So, Aiden, as you, Lucas, which one are you attacking?
Gestures.
Okay. So as Aiden, Jester, and Lucas pile on Jester's first, they manage to rend and tear it apart. Aiden, as you go to turn your attention to Aspen's, you can see the tendril wrap around Aspen, squeezing into her. And as it does so, you can see a sizzling, burning sensation start to emanate from Aspen's skin. Aspen, take 2 points of aggravated damage, physical damage, as the acidic touch, the noxious touch grapples you, but it only holds you momentarily before Aiden rends into it and tears the trash apart, destroying it. But it does burn you enough to leave a lasting burn mark across your flesh for the moment that it did grab you. But the piles are destroyed.
Is the moon out yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Seeing Aspen get hurt, going to just shift into Hamid real quick and run over to her.
You do know if you shift into Hamid, you drop down to 1 rage.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Nope.
Dropping out of Krynos drops you down to 1 rage.
That's right. Yep. Never mind. Gonna stay in big brute form and gently check on her.
Okay. Pressing onward. Okay, so moving over to her, you could see that she has kind of got this tendril falling off of her, but you can see the large burning, sizzling marks across her skin as the tendrils drop off, unwinding and unrolling from her.
Give her like a worried look.
I'll just kind of shove my nose forward, like my snout, my muzzle forward to keep going.
Give a little nod and move on.
Okay, everybody in Krynos form, give me another willpower. Spend a willpower to stay in that form as you press on. Now you find yourself entering into the water. As you press onward, the water starts to rise against you. It gets down to starting at your feet, getting to your shins. You press on, but as you do so, Eliza enters into the water and she starts chanting in a mantra and pushing her hands into the water. And as she does so, the water begins to part with her steps, pushing it back, pushing it aside, parting the water as she walks, pushing towards the eye of the storm, which you can see ahead, the whirling of the storm's clouds overhead. She continues to walk forward, and as she does, you find yourself walking deeper and deeper into the water, the walls of the water rising on either side as you move further outward into the deep of the Gulf, moving further and further outward. Eventually, the water forms into a bit of a ramp as you move up. And it holds underneath the foot of your footfalls as you walk up until you find yourself walking on top of the water. And Eliza keeps holding her hands across the water's surface, keeping it steady, keeping it still. And she seems to be calling upon gifts of water, which are causing the water to hold firm underneath your footfalls until you find yourself stepping onto sand. Like a bluff has formed or an island has formed out in the water. Overhead, you can see the storm coming closer. Spirits of wind and air coalescing overhead, merging overhead, becoming larger and more ferocious above. Everyone make me a strength and athletics to try and resist the force of the wind, which has become even stronger than before. Remember, if you are in Krynos form, you do have additional die to play with because you are much, much bigger and stronger.
Can I assist Eliza again?
Yep.
Five with a crit.
Okay. Jester and Lucas start to slide. You are starting to lose your footing and are starting to feel yourself lift up off of the ground. You can choose to grab hold of somebody, but you are going to start taking damage from the wind to hold your footing. Or you can choose to get lost in the wind and see what happens.
Lucas will drive his clave into the sand and hold onto it with one hand, and then I'm gonna shift to Krynos.
Okay.
I'm going to grab hold. I know Aiden's helping Eliza, but I'm going to grab hold to Aiden's other side because you're still in Krynos, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, grabbing hold of Aiden, take 2 points of superficial damage as she grabs a hold of you and starts to yank on you. Your strength will hold you in place, but now she is starting to actually pull at you, and it is digging her claws into you, going to do a little bit of damage to you. But you are holding her in still. Lucas, I need you to take... Oh, you are going to make the shift to Krynos, but I do want you to take 2 points of superficial damage yourself, as it is going to be hurting you to make the transition against the wind. Okay. At this point, Eliza calls out to the storm. Brother Storm, I concede to you that I have failed in my efforts. I tried to pay my penance, and I acknowledge your fury. But as a defender of Gaia, and as a representation of the triad, of what it is to be human and spirit and wolf, I will not stand for the desecration of what you are becoming. I will return you to balance by any means necessary. Face me and bring on your fury, even if it leads to my destruction. And with that, she makes the shift to Krynos herself, becoming the large, silver-furred wolf as she lets out a bellowing howl into the wind. Anybody who wishes to join in the howl may make a manipulation and intimidation roll.
Do I get my bonus dice for this?
Yeah. Okay. The storm continues to curl and coalesce, coming overhead until the eye appears overhead and a cyclone starts to pull down towards the ground. As it touches down, water and wind combine, whirling upwards, and coalesced arms start to sprout from the sides. This large, massive, hulking cyclone forms before all of you. Large appendages, arms coming out of the sides until there appear to be 4, perhaps even 6 arms sprouting out, 3 on either side. Guardians of Gaia, you say? Where have you been? Not just these 10 years, but centuries have you failed. Poison fills the air. Poison fills the water. Gaia dies, Gaia bleeds. And yet you do nothing. If you will not win, perhaps we will. And with that, it moves to engage. The large appendages move forward, each of them picking a target, going in to strike out at each of the Guru. This will go until one side wins and one side loses. It is a fight to the death. Everybody, roll your attack or defense.
Lacerating wind.
Okay. So Aiden, you're going with lacerating wind attack. Aspen.
I would like to spend a rage to
Okay.
heal to superficial, and then I will just try to bite the hand, I guess.
Okay. So strength and brawl. Jester.
I'm gonna meet its punch with claws.
Okay. Strength and brawl. Lucas.
Yeah, continue, now that he's in Chronos, one-handed, slash as the fist is coming. He's gonna meet it with his clave.
Eight. Sorry.
8 successes for Jester. 7 successes for Aspen. Aiden.
6 for with the crit with the resolve and honor. They need to make a stamina and survival or a dex and athletics to
Okay.
resist.
How many successes did you get? Sorry, Aiden, how many?
6.
Okay. Lucas. How many?
Muted. 8 successes.
8 successes. Okay. So as the fists come crashing into the guru, Aspen, you come colliding with your fist, but as it makes contact with you, you do not get pushed back. If anything, you catch the fist and you feel yourself have the upper hand with it. You catch it and you dig your claws into it and bury your teeth into it, and you feel like you are wrestling with control, with the upper hand on the fist. So you have it grappled and you are buried your teeth into it and are now like wrestling for control with it, but right now you've got the upper hand. Jester, same thing. You dig your claws into it and have now got control of this fist and are wrestling for control with it, but you have buried your claws in really good into the fist itself. Lucas, bringing up the clave, you bury the clave into the fist and it recoils, but you manage to hold on to the clave, riding it up into the sky with the clave buried into the fist as it pulls you up with it, up above, off the ground, over into the sea, just dangling off of it up into the sky. Aiden, as you whip the lacerating wind, it manages to, does that cut it or does that slow it? What does lacerating wind do?
It brings the attack roll down by 2 on the success.
Okay.
So they had 2 dice penalty.
Okay, so now you got to make your attack as well?
Yes, now I would.
Okay.
Eight.
Okay, so again, you catch it and manage to grab onto it and bury your claws or teeth into it, and now you also have control of it as you grab onto it. The fist does collide with Eliza, and you can see that she is being pushed back by the fist, her feet digging into the ground, but she seems to be losing ground to the fist that has collided with her as her feet are starting to slide back on the earth beneath her. But she is holding on to it and trying to muscle it back. Next round. So far, all of you have the upper hand on your fists.
I'm gonna try and rip the fist away from it. I know it's all one entity, but I'm trying and rend that away from it.
Okay.
Does this thing have like a centralized body that we can see?
It does. It seems to be the cyclone itself that the arms are sprouting from.
Is there any kind of like face or head or anything?
Not that you can tell.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
9.
9 successes. Okay. Nine successes for Aspen.
I got crit.
Jester, what'd you get?
I got 7.
Okay. Lucas.
7.
Okay, once again. Aspen, not only have you gotten control of it now, you are now prying at the fingers, like tearing at them as you break them apart from the fist, like prying them open and rending at them, just breaking the fist open and starting to separate it, opening up the hand as you break it into your control, digging into the palm of the flesh of this windy palm itself, starting to rend and break it apart. Aiden, you you pull it open to the side, like breaking it back and twisting it open. And Jester, you pull down the fist, almost like snapping the wrist backward. Lucas, as you are kind of up on top of the hand with the blade, you start to swivel the blade around, cutting it along the wrist, almost getting prepared to sever the fist off of the wrist itself. Eliza, the fist pushing against her opens, wrapping around her, and squeezes around her and starts to lift her up off of the ground and pulling her back towards the cyclone. Next round.
I totally forgot to ask. Would my favor count for this?
Yes.
Okay.
This is definitely an authority. This is much
Right.
more powerful than you.
The fists themselves, are we close enough where I could attack two of them at once?
Probably not. No.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to check.
Yeah, no. You're not in close proximity to each other at this point. This is kind of a 1v1 situation.
Gotcha. I'm going to continue to try and break this fist.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. Really need to get rid of this fist.
11.
Okay. $11 points for Aiden, 11 successes for Aiden, 5 for Aspen,
8 for me.
8 for Jester, and
7.
7 for Lucas. Okay. Aiden, now that you have rent the fist backwards, you kind of climb up on the arm and continue to pull it back, bending it back on itself. And even though it's made of wind, you can hear a cracking sensation as if there were bone composing it as it continues to break backwards. The wind howling out of pain, out of fury, hard to say, maybe out of storm itself, but you continue to break it backwards, pulling at it and curling it back on itself. Jester, you have bent yours further. It's giving a little bit more resistance, but you do know that you are continuing to make headway on it as you rake your claws further through it, tearing more of this wind apart, breaking it through. Lucas, you have almost completely encircled, cutting through, and you're pretty sure if you were to go a little bit further, you will completely sever the fist off with one more successful cut. Aspen, you separate the hand, but unfortunately, you separate it enough for it to smash you into the ground, doing 4 points of superficial damage already halved as it splat pushes you down into the ground, just poof, onto the earth. You're not like squished by any means, but you are going to have to kind of wrestle for control out of it again. Next round.
Fist is almost done, or
Almost done. One more and you got
Okay.
it. Oh, and Eliza is now pulled up to the cyclone. Like her fist has been lifted up towards the cyclone and is about to be pulled into the cyclone itself.
Shit.
I would like to spend a rage to heal 2 superficial.
Okay.
I failed.
So you lose a rage.
could I believe it's a free action, take a stain to put my rage back up?
Yeah.
Cool.
Seven. Okay.
Nine with a crit.
Okay.
8 with a crit, and I spend a rage to heal, and I lose a point of rage.
Okay. Aiden, what'd you get?
7.
Okay. And Aspen for your actual attack.
I spent a willpower and I also got 7.
Okay. So Aspen, you wrestle for control, pushing the hand back off of you, getting back to your feet, spreading the fingers apart again, bending the hand backwards, getting back up and digging your claws back in, causing it to recoil backwards as you gain, kind of with a roar, get back up. Aiden, now that you have rent the hand backwards, you completely snap it back, causing it to utterly break off and dissipate, recoiling, pulling all the way back up into the cyclone, dropping you down into the water with a splash. Jester, ripping yours under, you rend it also with a snap, causing it to release you, recoil, and go back up into the cyclone, dropping you into the water with a splash. Lucas, you finish the cut, severing the hand, causing it to dissipate, dropping you, spiraling down into the water with a splash. No damage. You just drop into the water as it recoils back into the cyclone. You're near the island, so you don't have to swim or anything too far to get back. It just lifted you up and then dropped you effectively.
Well, I was gonna see if I'm close enough to where Eliza is, could I use Hare's Leap to catapult myself on whatever momentum or solid surface I have directly at her?
Give me a... It's a good question. Give me a strength and athletics. You are going against a cyclone, which the winds are very high, so there's a very strong possibility it will throw you away.
Okay.
It's going to be a very high difficulty, I will warn you.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say no. I will give you a chance. That is clever thinking.
See if it pays off. Five successes.
5 successes. Not quite enough, unfortunately. As you try to leap towards the cyclone, the winds of the cyclone just deflect you away, sending you plummeting towards the island down below, smashing into the dirt where the rest of them are waiting down below. The rest of the hands pull back up into the cyclone as the booming voice resumes. Strong. I like strong. Young, too. What business do you have with this one? The cyclone continues to spin, but amidst the eye of the cyclone in the center, you can see Eliza kind of splayed out in her Krynos form, floating in the center.
Do I still have the hand on me?
No.
Okay, so it pulled away.
Yeah. Yeah, it does recoil backwards as the rest of them kind of get rended off.
I will I will drop back into Hamid.
I will also drop back into Hamid.
She is not your concern anymore. We're here to speak with you.
She was my concern for many years. She made herself my concern. What concern is she of yours?
She lost her way for a long time. She was brought back recently. She tried to get in your graces. Now we're here to speak with you.
Then I should
like-
settle my business with her before I talk with you.
When she lost her way, we went on a journey and we risked much to find a tear of Gaia to bring her back. It would be a shame for us to lose her after that. It would be shame for for Gaia's tear to go and be used in vain, as there are not many.
What business is this of mine? Many tears has Gaia shed, many of them caused by the likes of your kind, and others like you.
We're here to apologize for that no one was here. We want to help. Want to be here now. We're here now, and we'd like to help.
She didn't lose her way, she walked away.
There are many pains that cause us to lose our way, and I wouldn't say she walked away. She was in pain, much like you are. We helped her. We can help you. We apologize that you've not had someone there for over a decade, but we're here now.
For how long? Until it becomes inconvenient? Until you suffer enough pain?
Till I die.
And what then?
Well,
You're fragile creatures. That could be before the next season.
We're working to make a space where we're here for good. Not just us, many of us. And we can't fulfill that goal if we don't all make it out and back to make sure that you were never left alone again. But we can't do that without her. And we beseech you to just let her go and listen to our words.
Why her? Why is she so important?
Because out
She
of
had-
everyone, go ahead, Jester. You speak.
I was going to say she has knowledge that we do not have, as we are young. And if she died now, much of that knowledge would be lost, and we would be lessened by it, weakened.
Her knowledge failed those before. Failed you now. How many failures are you willing to have at her hands? She's so smart. Why am I back again? Why am I here? She failed you last time.
Her knowledge failed the ones before because they refused to listen. They refused to trust her.
Maybe they trusted her too much. For too long. Maybe it was too late.
Aspen will look over to Jester. Tell him the story.
Story of what happened?
What happened to the cairn before?
Before, the same enemy that we face now hunted the cairn, and they allied themselves with our kind who have turned to the worm. And they used that advantage to attack our sacred places. But as agents of the worm were building something, the cairns sacrificed themselves, many of themselves, to destroy it. And because of that, they were weakened for the enemy that remains to destroy the rest of them. But even though they sacrificed themselves, as she provided wisdom, not all of them trusted her, and so they were divided. We are not divided. We are together on this. And we trust her and her wisdom.
Jester, give me a charisma and persuasion.
Can I use my favor?
Sure.
Okay. Can I use my rhetoric specialty?
Yeah.
Okay. Six successes.
You are few. You are weak. The once proud Guru are broken, shattered, falling to complacency, laziness, selfish desires. How long can you last? How big can you get? What good would it do to ally myself with you? What good would it do to agree to anything? Perhaps wiping you out now would be a mercy.
We're here now. We're united, and we're bringing more. The more of us, the more we can help. She can help. That's what we're doing here. It's what we've been doing here. And that's what we'll continue to do here.
A storm can start out small and then build. We will start out small and build. And the active danger here kind of prevents our complacency. We have to always be alert.
Do you think you can truly weather the storm?
Yes.
We've already gained. We're already making headway in the short time we've been here. We've lost a lot too, and that hasn't stopped us.
Are you prepared to lose more?
We came here, we learned, and now we're prepared to lose everything.
Even her?
If that's what it takes.
If I were to ask for her as tribute, sacrifice,
I think you would be doing yourself and us a disservice. We have knowledge with her. We have more to gain with her alive. You have more to gain with her alive. I think it would be foolish.
it's not
I
what
think
I
it would be-
asked.
Would I do it? Yes.
Make charisma and persuasion. Or a manipulation and subterfuge if you're lying.
Can I use my favor?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that storms don't care if you're beautiful, right?
No.
I figured. Nine.
What is done cannot be undone. You understand that. What has been started cannot be stopped. The wild cannot be tamed. However, I believe you. I will not ask for her in tribute, but I do ask for tribute. I want a sacrifice. And I want it of the Weaver. You have 30 days. Decide, or I will decide for you.
Thank you for listening.
As I said, I cannot stop what I've started, but I will not take as much as I intended to. For now. I do have one question, though. What would you do if you had my power?
That's a simple question.
Is it?
Fight back against the worm. Take down the leeches.
Take down their stronghold that they've made in the center of the Weaver.
You want a building? You want a building of the Weaver? 1100 South.
Give me a manipulation and persuasion roll.
Can I assist?
Yes.
Six.
Okay. The fist emerges from the side of the cyclone again, reaching in to the eye of the storm, wrapping around Eliza, pulling her out, and bringing her down to the island once more. And when it unfurls, it lays her on the ground, and she is returned to Hamid form before returning to the center of the cyclone. 30 days. The winds start to pick up once more, getting faster and faster and faster, to the point that you can barely keep your eyes open as tears start to sting and the sand starts to whirl around you. You feel yourself almost starting to choke as the wind is starting to be sucked from your lungs, getting faster and faster and faster. And before you know it, your vision starts to grow black and blurry, as if you're about to black out into unconsciousness. And then you find yourself gasping for air. And as you do so, you're in the storage unit, laying on your backs. You're very wet. Your clothes are clinging to your body. You can smell the brackish salt water, as if you had been in the Gulf. All of you are there, including Eliza. Artie is looking from the computer over in the corner, slightly slack-jawed. Hey,
Shake the water out of his ear.
welcome
Hey.
back.
Hi.
Take it everything went well.
You could use those words, yeah.
Okay. So storm's still going, obviously. We're stuck inside for a while longer, but everything okay?
I think we've gotten to a point where we've at least got an appeasement. We apparently need a weaver sacrifice, but we'll get there. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But we are all alive and mostly safe. As she like grabs at the arm that's like burned. It went as well like as I think we could hope for.
Well, good. Here, let me take a look at that. And he grabs the first aid kit, comes over and starts opening it and starts trying to tend to the wound. Okay. Well, that's good, I guess. They say it's gonna last throughout the night, but we'll just hunker down. We got food, we got water. Power's still good for now, but we'll see how long it lasts. From what I'm reading or keeping up on, they're saying it's storm surges aren't going to be so bad. They're now looking at like 6 to 9 inches, they say. So maybe it's not going to be so bad. It turned southward, funny enough. It's not going to hit. It's just wind, they're thinking. So maybe we're going to, whatever you guys did, hopefully it worked. But yeah, good news. Eliza, while remaining for the most part quiet, looks over at Aspen and Jester, Aiden and Lucas, and gives a smile and nods her head and mouths thank you to all 4 of you before she goes to sit over in her little ritual corner. Starts lighting a couple of sticks of incense again. This is where the storm calms and our story comes to a close. But we cut to a building across town. We cut to an office high up at 100 North Tampa. A very, very fancy office with very, very fancy windows. Wind rages outside as it's gotten very, very dark into the late hours. The storm has been raging all through the evening. Edward Bateman stands at the windows, observing. He watches as the chaos of the storm goes on outside. And there's a knock at the door. Come in. The door opens. And a moment later, Harlan Severn, seneschal of the city, makes his way in. This is going to be one hell of a mess for us, you know. We already have enough trouble with the food shortages, Bateman. Now we're going to have an expense to clean up. We've already had enough expenses with the first hurricane. Now we've got this. What are you going to do about it? All things in time, Harland. All things in time. It's just one more thing to take care of. Perhaps it'll be a good cover. People go missing. Maybe this will be a good excuse to set up some new farms. Perhaps. The wind starts to howl. After a moment, glass shatters as the window explodes and a piece of debris comes flying in from the outside. A large piece of metal smashes through the window and impales the seneschal Harlan Severn, who explodes into ash. Bateman looks over, looks back to the window, people go missing all the time. And that's where our story comes to a close this evening. Thank you so much to our players. Thank you so much to everyone watching at home. This has been a wild ride with back-to-back hurricanes here in Florida. Thank you so much for being patient. We promise to get caught up to the present. We promise to be back on our regular routine schedule here at Rage Across Tampa, but thank you for bearing with us through all this craziness. If you're interested in the World of Darkness, come join us at St. Pete by Night. All the links are in the description down below, but go follow us on all our social media as well. We're getting regular content on all of our social media now, so go check us out on TikTok, go check us out on Instagram, go check us out on YouTube. We got YouTube Shorts getting posted regularly now. We got all kinds of cool things coming at you. We also got play-by-post on our Discord now. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, come join us and get in on the fun. There's all kinds of cool things that you can be a part of now. We've also got YouTube exclusive shows now that you can go check out, so go check those out on the YouTube. And we've got After Dark coming back this Saturday. We've got some special guests joining us for After Dark, so go check that out. But thank you so much to these incredible players, and thank you for joining us at home. We'll be back next week with another episode of Rage Across Tampa. But for now, have a good evening, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Good night.